Hello, today's lesson is using length and substring as a method to the string variable. What is the length method? The length method allows us to see how many characters are in a string. So if the word is jump, the length would be 4. Okay, so in this case, we have a string. We named our string the name, and the string is Donald Duck. And we want to find out how long is Donald Duck. Take a second and tell me what you think it is. How many think it's 10? How many think it's 11? How many don't have a clue? The answer is 11 because it's going to count the space. So D is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, space is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So what this does is I use the variable name, dot, length, and notice there's 2 empty parentheses behind it, and that determines how long is this string. And I'm saving this to an integer called len. So when I print it out, it tells me that there's 11 spaces or characters in the word Donald Duck. Substring allows me to take part of a word and print it out. So in this case, my string is my pet, and I have Sparky the dog, and I'm saying I want a small part of this variable. So I want a small part of the variable called my pet dot substring 4. And then I want it to print out the small part. How many of you think it's going to print out an R? How many think it's going to print out RKY the dog? How many think it's going to print out K or KY the dog? The answer is Kai the dog. And the reason that is the very first letter here is a 0. Okay, even though it would be a 1 when we're counting the length, the index number for that is 0. So if we look at it, characters in a string are numbered starting on the left with the 0. So the numbers are called indexes. And Sparky the dog, it starts with a 0. So the S is a 0, P is 1, A is 2, R is 3, K is 4. Remember, R said substring 4. So it starts at this index and it goes all the way to the end. Okay, if I only have one number, it starts here and goes all the way to the end. So that's why it has Kai the dog. Here's another one. Now this one has 2 numbers in it. It has a 4 and a 12. What do we think it's going to print? It's going to print out KY the D. Why doesn't it go all the way to the O? And here's why. It's going to go up to the letter 12, but not included. So it's going to start on the 4. It's going to go 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and it's going to stop when it hits 12. It will not print the 12th one. So it's going to go up to that index, but not actually print that number. So it starts at the 4th index and goes out to the 12th index. The O and pull back 1, which means the last letter is D. So how I think of it is it starts at the 4th, goes up to, but does not include what's at that last number. Okay, now I want you to go into your Eclipse and we're going to practice doing some of this together. So I'm going to get into Eclipse and we have our practice here and we're going to go ahead and add some code. Yesterday, you guys learned a little bit about print and print line, so we're going to add a little bit of that onto our practice so you know what that's like. So I'm going to just put some comment code in here. Remember, if I do 2 backslashes, I can put comment code in, and I'm going to say using print and print line. So the first line of code, we're just going to enter in something. We're going to say system dot out dot print line, and if you notice these little options pop up, and I can click on that if I want to. I'm just going to go ahead and type it in. Print line, or we're going to use print. I'm sorry, we're just going to use print this time, and we're going to say, how are you? Question mark. Okay, and then I want to make sure I have a semicolon at the end of my line. Okay, the next one I'm going to say is system.out.print line, and I'm going to say fine with a semicolon on the end. Now, the last one I'm going to do is system.out.print line, and I'm going to say see the difference. And I need to go up and fix my one line up there. I have a typo. Okay, so up here I have system. I got an extra letter in there. There we go. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and run it and see what happens. And if you notice, my how are you, fine are on the same line. And here's why. This one prints and it stops. It doesn't go down to a new line. So fine gets printed on the same line as how are you. My fine has a print line. So it prints fine and it goes down to the next line and it shows, see the difference on the next line. So that's the difference between print and print line. And you would have learned that yesterday, but I just wanted to show you an example. Okay, the next thing we're going to do in here is we're going to add code on using the length method. So again, I'm putting in some comment code so when I go back and I see this, I know what I've got going on here. Whoops, it helps if I spell length right. There we go. Okay. And we're going to make a string and we're going to call the string text. And we're going to just say, this is text. Okay, now we want to find out how long is that text. So we can do it two different ways. We can say int length equals the name of the variable that we're checking, which is text, dot length. And if you notice, it pops up. So I can just click on that. And it automatically puts it in for me. And then I can print that out. So I can say system.out.println, len. And I could have named this variable anything. I just used len because that's what we've done in the last one. The other thing, we're going to put another one in here. We're going to put in string text2. And we're going to say check length. I can also do this in a system.out.println, and I can say the name of the variable, which is text2, dot, and again, my length will pop up here, and it will print it out. Okay, so if I go ahead and run this, notice both of them are actually 12 characters long. So it prints out, this one is printing it out using the integer variable, and this one's printing it out using the print line. So that's how you find out the length of a string. The next thing we're going to do is use our substring method. Okay, so we have a new text, and we're going to call it string text3, and it's going to be equal to how are you today? Question mark. Hopefully everybody's good. Okay. Now we want to print out just part of that message. So we're going to make another string variable called part text, and it's going to be equal to the name of our string up above, which is text3 dot sub, and when I type in substring, I'm going to get this right here. This one has a beginning index and an ending index. We don't want a beginning and an ending, we just want a beginning. So if you use this, just realize that you're not going to put anything in the end or just type it in yourself. It might be easier just to type this one in yourself. So I want to put in an index of 3. Okay? And now I want to print it out and see what part of the word do I have. So system.out.println, and I want to print out part text. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and run it. Are you today? Notice I have a space. It doesn't go up to the bump because it starts at the third. And the third is the space. My H is a 0, the O is 1, W is 2, and the space is the 3. So that's why I have a space, are you today? Because it started with 3 and went all the way to the end. Okay, now let's try taking just part of the word. So we want a beginning index and an ending index. So now we're going to say string text section equals, again, I want to use text 3 dot substring, and this time I can click on this one, and where it says beginning text, I'm going to put in 4, and I'm going to click on end text, and I'm going to make that a 7. Okay, so I'm saying start with the 4th index in my how are you today, and go up to the 7th, but don't include the 7th and print it. So let's see what we have coming out. System.out.println, and let's say text sect. Oops, I forgot a T in my print line there. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and run it. And notice it gave me R because it started with the 4th. So again, my H is 0, O is 1, W is 2, space is 3, A is 4, and that's what I said right here, go to the 4. R is 5, E is 6, 7 is my space, and it's not going to print the space. It's only going to go up to the 7th and not print it. Let's try one more, and we can do this again. We can do it in a print line if you want to. Again, this sometimes is harder, but if you do see it, it is done this way sometimes. Print line, text 3.substring, and this time, let's just try what we get if we do 8, and then let's go up to 11. And then we're going to go ahead and it'll print that out for us. So let's see what we get for our answer. We're going to go up to run it, and that one gave us U. Okay, so remember to go in, do some practice of your own on this besides what I've done. Play around with length, play around with substring, make sure you answer your daily question. And if you have questions, put them out on the chat and somebody will be responding to you. Have a great day.